The Council's decision, the grand hall of the Galactic Council, was filled with light, sound, and pride. Hundreds of alien delegates floated, walked, and buzzed around their seats. The air was heavy with confidence, laughter, and judgment. At the center of the hall stood Earth's ambassador, a human dressed in black. Calm and still, his name was Elias Marin, a diplomat trained to speak carefully. With respect, he had come not to beg, but to ask for Earth's rightful seat in the Galactic Council. After all, Earth had achieved space travel, built peaceful trade, and even helped during the Cray famine. He stood quietly, holding the request document in his hand. The room fell silent as the High Speaker, a long-necked Shalari named Volshar, addressed the Council. The human wishes to speak, Volshar said with a smirk. Let him. Elias stepped forward, his voice clear but calm. Honorable Council, he said, Earth has fulfilled every condition to join this assembly. We seek not dominance, only recognition. We have arrived in peace. There was a moment of stillness, then whispers, then laughter, soft at first, then louder. Some delegates openly laughed. Others covered their mouths, but could not hide their mockery. A thick-skinned warrior from the Torvik Empire stood, arms crossed. Humans want a seat? He growled. After 100 years of war and chaos? After spreading their kind like weeds? A few delegates clapped at his words. Another voice, from the slim, translucent Glenari, echoed across the hall. They are emotional, she hissed. Too unstable. Too primitive. They wear suits, but they still fight over land and pride. Elias didn't respond. He simply lowered his hand, folded the document, and waited. The vote was called. Out of 300 council members, only 2 voted yes for Earth. The screen above the chamber flashed red. Earth. Application denied. The lights returned. The room returned to noise, to casual talk, to laughter. But Elias stood there a moment longer. Quiet and still. He looked around not with anger, but with understanding. He took a breath, then said only one sentence. You could have welcomed us. Now, you will learn what we become when we are not. Then he turned and walked away. He didn't argue, didn't shout, didn't protest. He just walked back to his ship. Silence followed him like a shadow. Within hours, Earth recalled all diplomats, closed all trade gates, blocked all communication lines from alien systems, satellites. Went dark, Earth. Silent, at first, the Council was pleased. Let them go, they thought. Let them sulk in their corner of space. They're just humans. But a few began to worry, because Earth didn't just stop talking. It stopped responding, even automated beacons silent. Even Earth's moon stations empty. Ships sent to investigate near Earth's orbit never returned. One scout vessel made it back. Its crew had no memory of what happened. Only the words, "Run now," carved into the hull. Back in the Council. The laughter faded. Valshar called another meeting. This time, the air was not light. This time, there was no humor. They are trying to scare us. One delegate said, they're playing psychological games, said another. But no one really believed that, because deep down, they remembered. Earth's history. They remembered what humans had survived, and what they were capable of when rejected. The High Speaker sat in silence, looking at the empty space where Earth's banner had once hung. They asked for a seat, he whispered, and we gave them a reason to stand. For now, all was quiet, but somewhere in the darkness, Earth was watching, and the galaxy didn't know it yet, but the silence was the beginning of a storm. Silence over Earth after Earth's ambassador walked out of the Galactic Council. Something strange happened. Nothing. No protest, no speech, no threat, just complete silence. And that silence was louder than any weapon. Across the galaxy, systems still traded, ships still moved, and empires still ruled. But Earth had disappeared. Their gates went dark. Their frequencies turned to static. Not even a distress signal left their borders. At first, it felt like Earth had accepted defeat. Some council members even celebrated. Problem solved, they said. The humans are sulking. But not everyone felt so relaxed. Captain Garo of the Vunare fleet was the first to notice something wrong. He had sent a scout ship near Saturn to monitor human activity. The ship vanished, no wreckage, no signal, just gone. He sent a second ship, then a third. The third one came back, but something was wrong. The crew sat silently in their chairs, eyes open, not blinking. One of them whispered a phrase over and over again. The stars were blinking at us. Then they closed their eyes. Medical teams couldn't explain it. Their memories were scrambled. And on the outside of their ship, written in burn marks, was one word: observe. Council command brushed it off as a glitch, a trick, or human drama. But more things started happening. Satellites belonging to the Galari Republic stopped working, only the ones pointing toward Earth. A cargo vessel carrying supplies to the Venus outpost vanished mid-jump. Its black box played one final message before silence. We saw a shape in the dark. It wasn't moving. It was waiting. The fear began to spread, not because of attacks, but because of the lack of them. No one had seen a human ship. No one had heard a human voice. But their systems were being touched, shut down, erased. Whispers turned to warnings. The Torvak Council issued a statement: do not fly near human space. The Glanari Union followed with one more direct order: if you see nothing, turn back. But it was already too late. In Sector 7E, a fleet of drones disappeared in broad daylight. Every camera captured the same moment. The ships blinked out of existence. Not destroyed, just gone. And then a signal came through their system's core. It was the Earth flag, displayed in silence, and beneath it, a phrase: you did not listen, so now you will not hear. Message wasn't broadcasted, it was injected. Earth had placed it deep inside the core of their communication system, without even sending a ship. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting with no human present. But all they talked about was Earth. The fear in the room was heavy. How could humans vanish and still leave fingerprints? Ambassador Varix of the Zalari Alliance spoke slowly. I once thought humans were loud, foolish creatures, he said. But now I fear their silence more than their weapons. The Council tried sending peaceful messages back to Earth. No reply. They tried sending gifts, envoys, even old allies. No reply. They even sent one of Earth's former colony friends, the Avarians, the Avarian shuttle. Never arrived. Only a small capsule returned with an Avarian feather, frozen in crystal. A tag on it read, "They should not have spoken for us." That was the moment everyone knew. Earth wasn't hiding. They were preparing, and the galaxy had made the mistake of thinking silence meant surrender. But Earth had grown in silence before, through war, through famine, through fire. Now they were silent again, and this silence felt like the wind before a coming storm. It wasn't peace. It was the inhale before something enormous. The last line spoken that day in the council came from a nervous young delegate. She looked up at the dark map of Earth's zone and whispered, "What if we didn't reject them? What if we awaken them?" The first strike was never seen. The galaxy expected fire. Instead, it got silence, and then absence, the kind that doesn't make sound, doesn't flash, doesn't warn, just erases. It began in the outer ring of the Vascari Empire. A mining station named Relian 4 stopped responding. At first, they thought it was a solar flare, but then the rescue ship vanished too. No wreckage, no mayday call, not even floating debris, just gone, as if they had never existed. The Vascari High Marshal ordered a stealth drone to scan the area. The drone sent back only one frame of footage. It showed an empty black field, no stars, no station, no ship, and at the center, a single human figure, floating silently in a black suit. No label, no flag, no movement, just watching. The image cut to static. Then the drone exploded from the inside. The High Marshal said nothing to the press, but he locked down 5 sectors within the hour. Across the stars, the same pattern repeated. A trade ship in the Chiron belt disappeared after passing near a gravity well that wasn't supposed to exist. A science vessel sent to investigate Mars reported seeing shadows shaped like cities. On the surface, then it too went dark. And over time, one truth became clear. Earth was not responding. Earth was not warning. Earth was removing, one by one, carefully, silently, without blood. Systems near Earth became no-fly zones, not because of war, but because of fear, because no one ever saw what hit them, only what wasn't there anymore. The Galactic Council convened another emergency meeting. This time, the cameras were off, security was doubled, and the mood was panic. Ambassador Trell of the Kalari looked pale. "We don't know if these are weapons," he said. "They could be experiments. They could be messages." High Speaker. Volshar slammed the table. "They are humans, not gods. They cannot erase our fleets without effort." But just then, an alert came through the council hall's main screen. All eyes turned to the transmission. It was short, only a single phrase burned across the display. "We are not gods, but we remember what was done." There was no audio, no source. The message had been implanted directly into the councils. Secure channel. Earth had spoken without speaking. And suddenly, Volshar said nothing more. Whispers spread across the chamber. Someone asked, "What if these aren't attacks?" Another said, "What if they're lessons?" No one had answers, only fear. In the rimward colonies, children began playing a new game. They called it human tag. The rule was simple: if you're touched, you vanish. The game spread faster than the truth ever could. On the political side, minor systems started distancing themselves from the council. Some called Earth privately, hoping to negotiate. They received no answer, but in their systems, their communication systems were suddenly upgraded overnight. No explanation, just better. A message appeared only once. "You did not mock us. You will be spared." It became clear to everyone, this was no war. This was judgment. And Earth had become the judge, jury, and executioner without firing a single shot. The scariest part wasn't what humanity did. It was what they chose not to do. Because power without limits is terrifying, but power with patience? That's the kind of fear that rewrites empires. And so, across every corner of the galaxy, a question began to rise. What does humanity want now? And worse, what have they already decided? Echoes of Earth that didn't start in a war room. It didn't start in a council chamber. It started on a playground, on a quiet colony in the faction system. A small Dunari child asked her teacher, "Why? Don't the humans speak anymore?" The teacher didn't answer, because no one had an answer, because Earth had not spoken a single word in months, but the galaxy was listening anyway. Strange things had begun to happen, not loud, not violent, just unexplainable. In the skies of neutral planets, shapes moved behind clouds. Silent ships hovered above oceans, visible only in reflections. Some believed they were dreams. Others knew they were not. On 3 separate council worlds, broadcasts were hijacked at the same time. Every screen turned black. Every speaker fell. Silent, and then Earth spoke, not in sound, but in vision. Old images began to play. Footage of Earth's history: wars, floods, rebuildings, sacrifices, fire, and peace. Humanity's pain was shown, frame by frame, their rise through blood and loss, their progress through every betrayal, their strength. Not in weapons, but in endurance. Then came a voice, male, calm, human. But it was not live, it was recorded. It said, "You saw us climb? You laughed as we bled. You closed your gates, your seats, your voices. So we opened our eyes." The message paused and then continued. "Slower now? We did not want power. We asked only for a place. But your silence became a mirror. Now, let us show you what we've learned." The screen faded to black, and a word appeared, written in every known language, even the dead ones. "Run?" Then the signal vanished, not jammed, not cut, just gone. It left behind silence and fear deeper than any fleet could deliver. The council panicked. They called it a digital attack. They tried to erase the footage, but it was too late. Millions had seen it. Billions had felt it. In markets, people whispered. In schools, children stopped laughing. Even soldiers began double-checking shadows behind them. One council member broke ranks and spoke on the record. A Yulari commander named Renka. "I once led a campaign against human pirates," she said. "I thought I knew fear. But what I feel now isn't fear. It's the feeling you get when you realize the one you ignored was the one who listened most." Across the galaxy, alliances began to tremble. Empires started sealing borders, not to protect themselves from Earth, but from the shame of being noticed by Earth. No one wanted to be the next target. No one wanted to be erased. On the third moon of Halcor 5, a small research outpost found something written into the soil. No footprints, no entry record, no ship. Just one sentence burned into the ground. "We are the echo. You made the sound." No one claimed responsibility, but no one doubted who had done it. And so, for the first time in recorded galactic history, every species, every power, every fleet paused, not because they were ordered to, but because Earth had whispered, and that whisper felt louder than thunder. The galaxy had silenced Earth, but in doing so, they had awakened something ancient, something cold, something patient, and now every silence sounded like Earth listening back. The Black Sky Protocol it began with a sunset. On the council capital world of Cyrillus Prime, the sky turned a golden orange. Birds flew gently, towers shimmered, and diplomats gathered for the annual Peace Day festival. Children laughed, music played, and no one noticed the stars disappearing. At first, it looked like clouds, then a shadow, then nothing. The sky wasn't dark. It was missing. Astronomers looked up and froze. Satellites blinked offline one by one. Then came the scream from a tower guard with night vision lenses. "There's something above us." They looked closer. Not a ship, not a fleet of wall. A black, silent object the size of a continent hovered above Cyrillus Prime. It didn't glow, didn't hum, didn't send messages. It just watched. The people on the ground couldn't see it with their eyes, but when they pointed their scanners up, they all read the same thing. Error. Unknown mass detected. Panic spread like fire. Military forces scrambled ships into the sky, but the moment they crossed a certain altitude, their engines died mid-air. One by one, they fell not shot. Just disabled, as if the sky itself had turned against them, the council screamed for answers. Where did this come from? How did it arrive without detection? Why is it not attacking? And then, across every screen, every device, even inside sealed rooms, came a transmission, not from space, but from inside their own systems. The symbol of Earth appeared, black background, white circle, one single word inside it. Protocol activated. A human voice followed. Cold and slow, the council called. "You is unstable, so we removed emotion. You called us primitive, so we left behind noise. You denied us a seat, so we took the sky." The voice paused. "This is the Black Sky Protocol. Do not reply. Do not resist. Observe. Then silence again. Ships remained in orbit, dead, floating, powerless. The object above the planet never moved, never pulsed, only hovered, like a reminder, like a warning. Like a judge, on the ground, children stopped playing. Leaders stepped down from stages. The festival ended not with an explosion, but with a shadow that never left. The message was clear. Earth didn't need to attack. Earth just needed to be seen. In the council war room, emergency protocols were triggered, but they were useless. Earth had disabled them before they could blink. They hadn't hacked in. They had written themselves into the system, long before the rejection ever happened. The council finally asked the question they were too afraid to speak out loud. How long has Earth been preparing for this? The answer came from a human message left deep inside the mainframe, hidden under thousands of firewalls. It read, "We prepared the day you laughed. We waited the day you forgot. And now we stand not for vengeance, but to remind you who you overlooked." That night, the stars did not return to Cyrillus Prime. The shadow above stayed still for 24 hours. Then, it simply vanished. No ship seen leaving, no signal of departure, just gone, as if it had never been there, but the fear remained. And every government, every admiral, every child would remember one thing: humanity never fired. Humanity never shouted. Humanity simply arrived, and with that, the galaxy finally understood. The black sky was not Earth's threat. It was Earth's presence, the memory of fire in the ancient library of Vore Prime, deep underground, untouched for centuries. A historian opened a forgotten Earth document. It was older than the council itself, burned at the edges, sealed in a case that read, "For when they forget." Inside, there were no codes, no weapons, no maps, only memories. Images of Earth's history, civil wars, shattered. Cities, mass graves, rebuilding hands. And in red ink at the bottom of each page, one phrase repeated over and over: "We remember." The galaxy had feared Earth's technology, but they had feared the wrong thing. What made Earth dangerous wasn't its ships. It was its memory. The memory of betrayal, the memory of pain, the memory of being told they were not enough, and carrying that fire through generations. Across the stars, people began asking, why did Earth never strike first? Why did they remain silent? Why did they only respond after being dismissed? The answer came slowly from fragments, interviews, lost transmissions. Every time humanity rose, someone tried to bury them. Every time they climbed, someone shook the ladder. But every time, they got back up with more scars, more knowledge, and less mercy. A transmission leaked from Earth's old Mars colony-long thought, abandoned. It played one sentence on repeat. A woman's voice, tired but steady. "We do not forget. We do not forgive. We do not need to. Because memory is stronger than revenge." On the world of Seratis, an old soldier named Carvin, who once fought humans in the border wars, was interviewed live. He removed his medals, placed them on the table, and said, "We thought they were angry, but they were grieving, and we mocked their grief." Every culture had its sacred fire, but Earth carried ashes, and that made them different. Because ashes aren't dead. Ashes are what's left after everything else burns away. And Earth was made of ashes. At a secret council summit, High Speaker Volshar finally spoke truth. We feared what humans could build, but we never feared what they carried. We saw machines. They held memory. It was already too late, because Earth didn't just make ships. They made copies of every insult, every rejection, every loss. They studied them. They preserved them, not to cry, but to learn. And when the time came, they reminded the galaxy what they had learned. The black sky was not about war. It was about reflection. It made every planet look at itself and ask, what did we do to the species that only asked for a seat? The scariest part was not that Earth remembered. It was that Earth never wanted to be feared. They only wanted to be seen, and when the galaxy refused, they didn't scream. They archived, because the human weapon was never steel, never lasers, never ships. The human weapon was history, and once unleashed, nothing could stop it. On the council walls, someone spray-painted 3 words in human script. No one erased it, no one dared. Memory burns longest. The seat is empty now. The Galactic Council chamber had been rebuilt. Walls cleaned, flags restored, security doubled. But one seat remained untouched, cold, black, and silent. The seat meant for Earth. No one spoke about it, but no one dared remove it either. Every meeting began with a glance toward that empty place. Every vote felt incomplete. They had denied Earth a seat, but now Earth's absence filled the room louder than any voice. No human returned, no ambassador sent, no fleet arrived, but Earth was everywhere. Their protocols still ran through council systems. Their silence still echoed across trade routes, and their memory still haunted those who once laughed. One morning, a simple package was found at the center of the chamber. No ship had delivered it. No alarms were triggered. It just appeared. Inside was a small cube, black, smooth, humming gently. It activated on its own. A hologram rose, showing Earth's night sky, millions of stars. And one single voice: "We came in peace. You chose arrogance. We asked for inclusion. You gave us mockery." The stars began to fade. Each light blinked out one by one, until only one remained. "We do not conquer. We do not beg. We do not return. But you will remember." The cube shut down. It never turned on again, but no one could throw it away. That day, the council voted to leave Earth's seat open permanently. Not in guilt, but in respect, because they finally understood Earth didn't want power. They wanted presence. They didn't take revenge. They gave a lesson, one the galaxy would never erase. In schools across the stars, children now learn Earth's story, but not as villains, not as monsters, as the species who gave the galaxy a final gift. A reason to think before laughing, a reason to pause before excluding, a reason to remember always that the quiet ones are watching. Some say Earth still listens. Some say they've built something beyond the edge of known space, a place without judgment, without thrones, only memory. The seat in the council remains cold, untouched, and beneath it, carved into the metal, are 3 simple words in Earth's native tongue: "We were enough." And finally, the galaxy believed them.